Hello, listeners of the Art Versations podcast.
Hi. My name is. Hi. My name. Hi. My name is Broadway Classic.
Let's hear it.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Art Versations. I am your host, Bri, like the cheese. And I guess welcome, if this is your first time tuning in, hello. Great to have you on board. Thank you so much for tuning in. The world is upside down right now. It truly feels like there's a lot of emotions, roller coaster of emotions. So I hope if this podcast, if anything, it can bring you a little sense of escapism or even just a little bit of joy. Because I think we could all use that right now. Last week there was no new episode to show respect to those dealing with the senseless acts of violence and racism going on in our world right now. As well, I included some donation links in the podcast description. I've made personal donations to these organizations, but if you have the means for it, I suggest you do too. It's not everything, but it's something. And now that that's been said, let's get to this week. So my guest is Kate McArthur, an actor who wears many hats, and who is someone that I immediately recognized as open and caring, and I love talking to people like that. So I brought her on to discuss many different projects she's been working on. We even ended the podcast with a little exercise and Thai yoga massage. So please stick around for that because it should help you decompress a little bit. I also want to mention that this was recorded on May 15th, so about a month ago. But please enjoy even still.
So it's good, yeah. But also, like, I get to walk around naked,
That's
which
awesome,
I have
right?
missed.
Finally have some time to do that.
Like, no offense.
Hi, Kate.
Hi, Brianna.
How are you?
I'm good. With everything considered, I'm pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hanging in.
I am. I know a lot of people have been going to the check on your extroverts, but I'm an introvert. Like, a lot of people are like, I'm an introvert. This is fine.
Yeah.
But and I don't know if horoscopes, I don't know if astrology is real at all, but all of them are like, you're a hermit.
Okay.
So initially I was like, I'm a hermit. This is fine. But with having bipolar disorder, most of my life is mood regulation and managing myself and checking in. And I've had a lot of friends reach out to me, and I've been able to help sort of counsel them through weird switches that they're not used to experiencing.
Okay.
Because that's what my life is always.
Right.
So,
you've just been accustomed to this. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So you're doing okay.
terrified of the outside and stuck inside with your feelings is my life. So in a good way, but it's fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not too bad then. I'm also an introvert, or I enjoy my alone time. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, in some ways this has kind of been a blessing, or at least I'm taking it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I can, not go crazy and insane, Yeah.
I've been talking to a lot of people who obviously in the scheme of things, there's a lot of bigger shifts and issues going on, and it is quite a horrifying thing. Mm-hmm. However, a lot of people who are having that alone time are like, cool, what was my life before this? What do I want my life to be after this? And I hope that a lot of people kind of shift out of this with significantly more clarity about what our priorities in society and in life should be.
Yeah.
Or what we want them to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know a lot of friends who are quite hopeful that there's going to be positive change. And there's the part of me that's like, yes, I also am very hopeful for positive change in the way our society is structured. But the other part of me is that I'm like, but I also know human beings And so I also know that that's not necessarily going to happen.
I also feel like too, like a regular human shouldn't be like locked up. Like we need to see people. We need to change locations often.
We're communal animals.
Yeah.
And especially for like with you being a dancer and me being a theater artist, it's like, totally. Oh, right. It's like, that's always when people talk about like, why is theater important? Why is art important? Why is like live theater? We have movies now. We don't need live theater, like that any kind of conversation like that for storytelling.
Which is a big one.
Which is a big one. And and I know for me, I have to talk myself out of the like, why is art important kind of feelings, especially moments like this when you're like, I should have been a nurse. What's wrong with me? Like I shouldn't, like, like
something very essential. Yeah.
Why did my parents let me do this? Like, but it's those moments of like, that kind of community and that learning for empathy and conflict and expression is really at the seed of what it's essential. It's an essential thing for like for quality of life. It's essential.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, we're biased because we're both theater artists, but I mean, like, and think about all the people that are turning to, I mean, they're not turning to live performance, but they're turning to art, and they're turning to like the therapy of escapism during this time, right? Like,
yep.
Yeah.
And all the people who are like going into crafts or building skills and that kind of stuff like that. Cause I do believe very like the arts and crafts is art.
Yeah.
And it is a craft. It's not just like, I'm going to do this thing out of cardboard necessarily. I'm like, no, this is a beautiful skill. And it's like, it's therapeutic. It's essential. It's aesthetically pleasing. The process of it is as important as the product. The building of the skill benefits you.
Yes.
So
preach.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely. All of those things.
But I talk about my bipolar a lot, as you know, because you know me.
I see you every Sunday morning.
Also, I'm wearing my bipolar bear shirt.
Yes, listeners can't see, but she's wearing a very lovely little cute bipolar. Oh, and does he have a mask on? Is that a little mask?
No, I wish, but that's so funny. No, it's just a
bear.
Big old polar bear nose, but it does, like, in this context, now looking at it, I'm like, he does look like he's wearing a mask.
Looks like he's wearing a mask. He's quarantined. I love that. Yeah, no, I mean, we should get to how people know how we know each other.
Oh yeah, right. Okay.
So we used to work. Well, you still work at MMC, Mindful Movement Center, but I was volunteering my time there to clean and get free classes, and I love that environment so much. I miss it every single day. I swear to God, I wish I could go back.
A really lovely workplace, honestly.
Oh my God, it's the best. Leslie and everyone there.
Mindful Movement Center. They're doing online classes, so you can always go to their website, and it's reasonable and it's great access, and it's like excellent teachers. Absolutely. And a super cool vibe. So
yeah, and that's how we met. And I remember like, cause I would come in earlier and start cleaning, and I'd just be so tired on a Sunday morning, like not ready to talk to anyone. And then comes in this light of sunshine, just, hello, good morning, beautiful human, like just bringing so much positive energy. And immediately my mood would just be like shot up right to a high new level. It was great. It's so
that makes me feel so much better, because I'm not a morning person by any stretch of the imagination.
I wouldn't have guessed. So, truly.
To me, on the inside, I'm like, I fucking hate being alive. But it was always lovely, because I know that I was coming in to see you. So I'm like, Brianna's going to make everything get better.
We can make Sundays a good day. But yeah, so that's how we know each other. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm also curious to know like how you're staying creative. And you said like crafts and art and sort of doing things with your hands almost to keep busy, right? Like what has been keeping you inspired?
Before the pandemic was called, maybe like a month or so before, I was having what I call my nighttime manics. So like my night mania.
Okay.
So depending on how my day goes, if I'm overworked, if I haven't eaten enough, something like that, in the evening hours, I get just like a little buzzy is what I call it, where like I can't quite focus and I'm feeling restless and listless. And I was just like in that kind of mood and I didn't know what to do to kind of cope with it. And so out of nowhere, I just pulled out like acrylic paints and just started painting. And then it's good, apparently. I was like, I'm going to be brave and post this on Instagram.
Yeah.
And people were like, I didn't know you were a painter. And I was like, neither did I. which makes me feel like a jerk because my brother is legitimately a painter. Okay. And I'm like, I Mary sued it. And then I'm like, I have no experience really. And I don't know what I'm doing. And it's like, I don't know. If I think too hard about it, then it's a bad painting. But if I just like paint my feelings, it's fine.
Yeah. But, like letting it out, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's so, and then a little while after that, I was like, well, let's try watercolors. I've never used those. Okay. So I do mostly like specifically just landscapes.
Very like Bob Ross, like
very Bob Ross. Yes, exactly. Which I've never actually watched Bob Ross, but I was like, I need to watch Bob Ross.
There's some funny videos.
I'm really excited to make like happy trees.
Yeah, exactly right. Like that's the best thing we need right now. It's just a little happy tree.
But I remember like the moment in the movie Stepmom or Stepmother, whatever, with Susan Sarandon and
is it like it was like evil stepmom or something?
No, it was. Oh, it's actually a really sad movie. I think it was late 90s, early 2000s, where like their real mom is like these two kids. Maybe I don't remember this movie very well. That's fine. Here's my fake paraphrase. Their mother's sick and is passing away, and then they're like stepmom's kind of stepping in, and they're like she's kind of like they've not liked each other before, and they like respectfully pass the baton in a kind of way. But there's one moment where they're talking about painting, and they're talking about making the sound effects while painting makes it easier. So if you go then like you can get the jive of it. I don't know, whatever. Weird tangent.
Have you been doing that?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes, I have.
Okay. That's fun. A little audio for your paint.
Well, most of my life, I don't think I'm particularly articulate because I feel like I can only really communicate in like gestures and sound effects like a clown. Like that's my true self. So I'm making sound effects when I do most things.
Always soundtracking your life. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So I've been painting.
Yeah.
I've done, like people on Instagram have been posting photos of just like, like this is a place I've been, and I'm just like screenshot it and paint the thing.
There you go.
So I've done that. I had this, so when the pandemic was called, so this is like March 16th, I left to visit in a car by myself, and I'm like, this is fine. There hadn't been like in the media and the United States not necessarily jumping on this how it needed to be. It seemed fine to drive my car to my sister's house in New Jersey.
I mean, maybe at the time, I guess, because it wasn't officially, the border wasn't officially closed or anything.
I don't know, what day was it that they like called it a pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, maybe
feel like it was like the
in
12th.
April or something.
I don't remember.
Oh, the 12th of March, even.
Yeah, I was in March, like.
Well, I definitely remember hearing that like Broadway was shutting down, and then I was like,
I was supposed to go to
really?
Broadway. I'd never been to New York City. Everyone's like, "Oh, you're an actor. You must love New York City." I'm like, I'd never been. I was planning on going to New York. I had a group audition on the Sunday, and this is like small peanuts. Like I know, but like in the dramatic story of my life, I'm like, it's not meant to be. I just kept being like, cool. I was going to I was going to die. Like a piano was going to fall out of a building and crush me if I had gone. Things are not happening.
Oh man.
So I had a group audition on this Sunday, and I was supposed to see Mean Girls on the Saturday night. And I arrived on the Wednesday, and I was like, okay, cool. And then the Thursday was the first time I got an email from the company I was doing the audition with saying like, nothing's been canceled yet, so we're continuing. We know some people are canceling, so it's fine. And then the next day they're like, everything's canceled. So I got to just hang out with my sister and her 3 children. And then her husband had gone to visit his family and then had come home. And I was supposed to leave on the Wednesday, but on the Monday, I just looked at her and I was like, Amanda, I think I need to go home.
Yeah.
She was like, this is your choice. It's okay. Let's get you food, pack you in the car and go.
Oh,
And
wow.
I drove like 12 hours. Furiously, like straight.
Oh, my
like
goodness.
I stopped to pee and stuff, and I stopped in like New York to pee, where I'm like, I can't touch anything.
Yeah. You're like, I need to get out of here.
Yeah, and it was really odd because I stopped at a gas station, and the guy was like, "Oh, you're going back to Canada, eh?" And I was like, "Well, not eh, but probably. I guess is what they say. Go back to Canada, huh?" And I was like, "Yeah, I want to make sure I'm across the border."
Yeah.
In case
Smart decision.
I don't get across the border. And his response was, "Yeah, I hear it's pretty fucked up there." And I was like, "Oh, oh no, sir."
Think again.
Oh no. No. I think okay. It was one of those like, "Oh honey," kind of moments.
I'm glad you made it out.
But I made it. Yeah, I made it across the border. But like it was raining. I listened to so much music.
Oh yeah,
just like
12 hours.
Just like screaming the music.
Nice.
I had to drop some stuff off at my parents, and they were at the time my dad was like, "No, it's fine. Like, just come." I'm like, "I'm not coming in the house." And I like sanitized before, like everyone was told to sanitize everything. Mm-hmm. I like wiped everything off, and I looked at him and I yelled at him from the street, and I said, "If you die because I brought this to you, I will never forgive myself."
The most dramatic, of course.
So I was hoping that would then, because the most dramatic. Also, I've been driving for 12 hours. Also, my parents are like over 70.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So like they're and like have pre-existing conditions. So I'm like, guys.
So it was a good thing that you did that you kept your distance. Yeah. I think it still is, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah.
You never know who's going to carry it or who's going to get it. It's horrible.
Yeah. What do you have roommates?
I don't right now. Well, I do have a roommate, but she went back to her like hometown, just to like be with her family, and so I'm lucky that it's just me and I just have to worry about myself. But
my roommates, they're a married couple. I love them so much. They're polyamorous, and so when I had to fully quarantine during that time, they went to go stay with her partner because A, I had to fully quarantine, and B, if someone got something, if someone needed to quarantine, if someone needed to be separate, it would have been really hard for either of their relationships to have to be away from one or the other partner for potentially 2, 3, so
that's true. I actually didn't think about like people who are in, like a group or a couple.
No, like I have a couple friends who are polyamorous, and I'm like, I haven't asked because it's none of my dang business, but I'm like, how are they feeling? Is that like, is their other partner okay? A lot of them are like partners within partner, like polyamorous couples that are together and stuff and that kind of stuff. Cause like, there's so many ways to be. More power to you. Yeah. I can hardly emotionally handle myself, let alone another person, let alone 2 other people. Yeah. Right. I'm like,
totally.
Who has the time? But so I've been alone, which is challenging, but in
some ways good, like you said, right?
In some ways, like, cause well, like my mood disorder, if I were to have, I haven't, but if I were to be like in a mixed episode, which means that I'm like feeling really shitty, but also have a lot of energy, it tends to manifest as irritability. And that's just really unfair to humans. So for my, so it's good, but also like I get to walk around naked, which awesome, I have missed.
Finally have some time to do that.
Like no offense to my roommates, but like, I'm sure they'd be fine if I did bring it up, but I wanted to be naked all the time. They'd be like, okay, well, like, just don't like sit on the couch with a layer between you, like that. But I don't know. Totally.
I love that.
But like in my dishes situation, because I've got good food.
Oh, the delivery service.
The delivery service, which I never thought I'm like bougie, like what? Get you. But now I'm like, what? It's like, it's not bad. And I was like, I'm going to have to cancel it because I think I've realized that I'm like, I can't eat certain things without my stomach freaking out. I think I need to cancel this. Like, I think I have a wheat problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people do.
I've been trying to fight that, I've been, I'm like, it's fine. I'll make choices, but like, I can't have like a grain, like that much of a grain in every meal makes my brain and body just kind of go like, I'm digesting simple carbohydrates and now I'm gonna sleep and be a slug. And I can't do that. But
I have that too, I think. It's weird because like it kind of like depends on the day, I guess. Or same with dairy too. Like sometimes I can eat like a creamy pasta and everything's good, but then I'll have like a scoop of ice cream and I'm on the toilet for like 12 hours.
Right?
It's like, it's never simple.
Or like you don't poop for days and you're like, great.
I know.
No, cheese. Oh, fuck, cheese. I love cheese. I call, like how people are like, these are my love handles. I call them my cheese handles. Because I know they're there because every single night I have cheese for snack before bed.
Yum.
Because my meds, one of the things with my meds is that it makes you like ravenous, like uncontrollable. So I'm like, I need to have my night cheese.
Like at nighttime? Yeah. Cheese is the only reason I can't go vegan. Like
I get that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like I get the whole animal and not wanting to kill animals, but I can't mess cheese.
Yeah, I know. And part of me is like very aware of the climate aspect of like factor. Well, and you know what? Apparently also the like, I don't know, pandemic aspect of farming situations. Man, I've tried to be vegetarian. I've tried.
Yeah, and
my brain and my body are just like, you will not function without meat.
Right. Well, I mean, there's so many good vitamins and fibers in meat, right? Like, you have to supplement it for sure.
Iron.
Yeah.
I've tried. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being like, whatever. I don't know. Teach their own, but to an extent, I don't know.
All of our body problems. Look at us.
No, like drastic shit, like bodies, man.
We could talk about bodies.
The dysmorphia is real. It's back.
It's real.
It's back with a vengeance.
It's back because now I have to, like, the only person who sees me is me.
Yeah, I know.
So now we're just...
And the Zoom. Always on the Zoom.
No, right? Even this right now, like I'm looking at myself, I'm like, I have too many chins. What's going on here?
And I'm like, you are more than your body. This is a vessel for your essential self, like.
It's just, yeah.
But also, I'm so vain sometimes.
Yes.
But we've been social. We're women. We've been taught we have to be.
I know. It's like
so
we've been taught that, like, and I know things are changing and it's evolving in a way that I hope is positive, right? Like in the way that we see women, but it's almost as if we were taught that you have to be beautiful to be valuable. Right?
Yes.
In such a
you're only as good as you are desirable.
Way. Exactly, right.
To specifically a certain demographic of male.
Yeah. Which is horrible.
Which is awful. And also I'm
right.
like, I'm attracted to so many female bodies that I'm like, what the heck? But you can't, but when it's your own, it's like there's this, and I feel bad because like I could be frustrated with the like maybe 5 pounds that I've gained on my average and highly abled body. But I know so many friends who are so beautiful and I am like attracted to, well, not that I'm like attracted to all my friends, I'm not saying that necessarily, but like so many friends who are not happy with their bodies, yet I'm like, you have a banging bod.
Right. Yeah.
And yet, but that's part of what?
The dysmorphia the way we see ourselves, even though we can't really see ourselves because we're looking through a mirror or through a video. It's just, I mean, we could talk about this for hours.
We could. I was going to say, I'm sorry, I'll talk about it.
No. It's a very important discussion topic. But I do want to get to you and your profile as an artist. I think that would be
Have I made a fool of myself yet? Have I said anything embarrassing?
I don't think so. Running around your house naked is totally something I do too. So there we go.
Right. Good. Okay. Good.
Everyone who's listening to this has done or wanted to do that. At some point.
I have to, yeah, right. They can't lie. Good. I check in sometimes because I'm like, okay,
No,
making
I'm with you.
sure. Okay,
We're
cool.
good. We're good.
Good.
Let's segue a little bit into
Okay.
your role as co-founder of Skipping Stones Theatre.
Yes. Okay.
Along with some other people that you've met at University of Windsor.
Yes. So I'm one of 3 co-artistic leaders of Skipping Stones Theatre, along with Sean O'Brien and Brianna Maloney. We all went to the University of Windsor. That's where we originally met. When I was in 4th year, Sean was in 3rd year, and Brianna was in 2nd year.
Okay.
And so Skipping Stones Theatre is an independent Toronto-based theatre collective whose mandate is to explore stories through the lens of mental health and neurodiversity.
Amazing. I love that.
Thank you. I think it's
Truly.
pretty cool. We didn't set out with that necessarily, but we kind of realized that was what we needed to, it's just what we were doing.
As like a trio, were you guys like combining all of your past experiences with mental health, or like did it just come through?
Well, what happened, what happened was when Sean, after graduating, went to East 15 in London, UK, to do his MFA in directing. And then Brianna when she graduated, went straight to East 15 to do her MFA in acting.
Okay.
Meanwhile, I'm like kicking it in Ontario, trying to figure out what the heck this whole scene is. And so I said to Sean at a party once, I was like, Sean, cool, you're graduating this year. I think you should hit the ground with a project. What are we going to do? Do you want to work with this? We've always wanted to work together. Like we did one show in university where we were like in the show together, but didn't necessarily work together. But I've always really admired Sean, and like I've always adored and admired Brianna. And so I went up to Sean and I was like, cool, let's do a show. And then Brianna came up and was like, can I do it too?
Look at that.
Like, yeah, of course, Bri. So we just were going to do like a fringe show. So we applied to fringes while they were both in the UK. Sean was finishing his 2nd year and Brianna was in the middle of her 1st year. And we're trying to figure out what play to do. And Sean had stage managed a production of 448 Psychosis by Sarah Kane, which is something, which is a play that I've always been fascinated by. And I helped facilitate a staged reading of it, or at least of a section of it in university for Mental Health Awareness Week. And so Sean had stage managed it, and he was like, it was not, when you've worked on something and it's not not right. Like, gosh.
Like the end product?
Yeah. Okay. I hope he doesn't, but like, when you're not like, you've worked on something, but you haven't done it and you're like, but I know how to make this work.
Oh, I see.
And he was like, yeah. So we had this like, guys, how do you feel about this? I want to make it work. I was like, I am so into that. I have so much lived experience that is applicable to the script. And the script is crazy. It was the finals play that Sarah Kane wrote before her suicide. And a lot of people say that, a lot of people say it's like, oh, this is her suicide note, but it's not. Like, perhaps working on this play, creating this play, definitely put her in not an excellent place, because I'm pretty sure there are parts of that play that are written to drive the actor insane. Like, I think there are parts that are meant to drive someone insane. But you
guys, I think in some ways you found that as a challenge, or like an
like
opportunity for discussion about mental health, and
exactly,
keeping it open rather than like, we don't talk about this.
Yeah. And it's
like that?
Yeah, definitely. The process for it was very challenging. And I don't necessarily believe that. I believe that art can be therapy. I believe that art can be therapeutic. I do not believe that if you are professionally creating a piece of art for consumption, it should be treated as therapy. Like I've got very specific beliefs about boundaries when it comes to acting. Um,
Like what you take on as an actor,
yeah.
where you go too far.
Knowing when something's safe for you.
Yeah.
And your boundaries and any kind of trauma you might have.
As you should have boundaries, I think, right?
Yeah.
I believe that. I mean, I'm not like a professional actor, but I believe that when I'm approaching a character.
I thank you. I'm so glad to hear that. Because boundaries are a terrifying thing to be able to understand within yourself.
For sure.
And be able to like confidently just state to someone and have it be accepted. And there's also been, in any industry, there's been a bunch of toxic beliefs as to like, you have to bleed for your art, you know, like that's,
it's like if you're not, you know, falling off a cliff, then you're not an actor.
Yeah.
Artist. I'm like,
if you don't like not bathe for 30 days to play this smelly character in a film, then you're not really committing.
As if like people through a screen can smell what you're doing.
I'm like, oh my gosh, this makeup. So I don't remember who Laurence Olivier said it to. Oh, he said it to someone. Who was it? But it was someone who like hadn't bathed for several weeks on a film he was working with, Sir Laurence Olivier, and he went to him and he said, okay, there's this thing that you could try that might work just as well. It's called acting.
And I was like, you know, it's simple. You don't have to method. Wow.
I don't know. So what was I even talking about? So we did 448. We did 448 in Fringe. It's a crazy piece of theater that makes a lot of sense when you do so much like puzzling, because it's not like, it doesn't have characters. Like there are pages of the script that are there's an exercise to test cognitive functioning that's counting down from 100 by sevens. Which I've had to do.
Strange.
Like when I was properly diagnosed with bipolar, they asked me to do it, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's happening. So you'd open the page of the script and it's just like scattered numbers, and you're like, how does one stage this?
Interesting.
So the specific part that I think is written to drive an actor insane is she has maybe, I think it's like 8 paragraphs of like action words. It's like flash, flicker, slash, bang, like bang, flack, like flick, dab, slash, burn, flicker, burn. And it's just like different combinations of it. And maybe you can make it into a movement piece. Maybe it can be, you know, maybe something this, that, this. But if you're going to be like an actor saying it, good luck ever memorizing it.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, is there room for improv or?
Oh, there had to have been, because I couldn't memorize it. But we also we didn't know. You go into the script, you don't necessarily have a vision for it. You're trying to, as a team, figuring out what the puzzle is and how to stage it.
Right.
And being like, this is all the research, this is all of our feelings and our thoughts and our instincts about it. Let's figure it out. And we didn't realize and we knew it. We should have known off the top that I was going to be the one biting the bullet of getting the like 8 paragraphs of like Le Bon movement words. But we didn't necessarily establish it until like 2 weeks before. And it's a Fringe show. So, and you're also trying to pay for your food and your living and produce your first show. And this was years ago. How many years ago was this?
Was it 2015 or so, I think?
Yeah.
I read,
like 5 years ago.
Okay.
But it's, but
that was your first project as like,
that was our first project.
A team.
Yes.
Nice.
Roundabout. First project.
A big one. A big one to take on.
Why did we do that? We're ridiculous. But Sean has, anytime we have an idea to do something, I'll tend to be like, no, this is too much. This is crazy. We can't produce this. We have no, we have no funding. This is too much. And Sean will say like, well, okay, we did 448. We could do this. And since then, every single project keeps being weirder or crazier or more challenging in whatever way. And he'll be like, well, Kate, we did this play. Well, Kate, we did Laughing Wild and made the Infant of Prague work. We can do this. Okay. We did Coriolanus in a basement. We can do this. And I'm like, which is, I love his like very, very, it's a very, very practical optimism that keeps me very grounded.
You start off with the bang and then you'll be fine.
You can't, you know,
for the rest. Yeah.
So then after that, we did that show and it was well well liked. We got some really great feedback.
Nice. For a fringe show, that's great.
It was at Hamilton Fringe, so it was also I'm born and raised in Burlington, and I used to do a bunch of theater when I was a teenager in Hamilton.
Oh, okay.
So it was also like really cool to be able to be like, I'm now like much older and like working on my craft, and here I am back, and it was very round.
A full circle,
full circle for me. So after that, we Sean Brand and I were like, cool, so that worked out well. Do you feel good about this? Do we want to keep doing this? So we did. And then the next thing, and everything we've worked on pretty well we realized it's like we got a bit of a theme. It's what we're fascinated by, and me personally is like a big advocate for mental health, and I was like, this is really important to me. They're like, I think it's our mandate. We're like, cool.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that you can, like, as a team, you can find a common theme, but also a common way to express yourselves, and know that it's something that we can always come back to as a group. Like, is everyone okay? Like, checking in kind of thing. Yeah. And
what we've been trying to do, especially over the past year and a half, 2 years, especially like since Hamlet,
which we will get to.
We've really been trying to make sure that we're finding ways of integrating our mandate into our practices. Like making sure we're checking on each other. What are the important boundaries that we need to set? How can we support each other?
Wonderful.
How can we make safer rehearsal spaces and like processes for our actors? And like with a lot of theater producing, like independent theater producing, you're kind of just like figuring it out on your own
as you go.
Yeah, like there are a lot of but I didn't realize, not being in Toronto until I had already aged out a lot of the programs, that there are a number of programs that are available often to like 25 and under and that kind of stuff. And I was like 26 and I was like, oh no, I've aged out of everything.
Oh no. That's not true.
but I don't like, for example, did you have for your dance program, did you have a class about like independent producing?
We had
about the business of being a dancer.
We should have had more. We had like a few production classes that were mainly focused on sort of like budgeting and figuring out how to market. And we worked with the production students at Ryerson as well. So they already kind of understood what they were doing. Meanwhile, you know, I'm a dancer, I'm a performer. Like I think I actually was thinking about this, like a lot of my degree was like taught me about the backstage stuff and the things that go on to make a show happen. I had no clue. I had no idea how difficult it was, how you have to really be dedicated and like believe in a project for it to even happen. I think, so I think like, especially as an independent artist, you really have to know what you want to bring to the stage. You have to be efficient. You have to be within the budget. You have to, because or else it doesn't go up, right?
Yeah.
It will not get made unless you have the funding and the like appropriate pathways to get there, I guess. Yeah. It's tough.
Yeah. No, like I'm like, I learned how to make a resume.
Yeah.
No offense to my program. Like, but this was also like what happened. I loved my program. I really did. I have a lot of, you know, I don't know. But I
didn't even know the University of Windsor had an acting program.
Yeah.
Very
we have
neat.
It's or at least when I was there, it's an excellent program. A lot of the key players of the program I was in have retired since. As it's come to light over the past few years, there's a lot of problematic stuff when it comes to acting training and the certain methodologies and the like dominant belief systems within them. And so I can't speak to any of how that's changing. I know, like, I'm sure there was, but I had a pretty, I worked very hard. I will say that, but I also had a very privileged path,
to get there. Yeah.
Yeah. Being an able-bodied white female. Like,
yeah. But at least like
mentally ill, but
yeah, no, both of us are not perfect in any means, but it's true. Yeah, there is sort of a privilege to it. But yeah, I wonder too, like, I mean, acting school and art school, like we were talking about boundaries, like in some ways, maybe you were able to, like, in maybe a bad way, but you were able to figure out where your boundaries are because you were placed in those pressured situations.
I
don't know.
say I am so grateful. I may never be able to make enough money acting to pay off the outrageous amount of money I spent on my degree.
Well, there's that too.
However, I firmly believe that the level of self-awareness, as well as the transferable skills that I learned from my acting degree, like my conservatory style, like voice movement, scene analysis, training, have made me a significantly better person than today. And I think I have used so many of those skills to be able to manage my mental illness, and manage relationships. Like the value of that training is not necessarily the monetary value I'm going to get from the career. It's that it has enriched my life and my self-knowledge and my inner life enough that, like, yeah, I'm very grateful.
Okay, that's good to hear then.
Yeah.
You don't look back at it in like an angry way.
No, and but like theater school is ridiculous. Like you went to school for dance, like it's ridiculous. Like what 8:30 in the morning, and you're supposed to think about the crazy things, like psychologically even. And I always talk about the King's Speech, because there's that weird. It's hard when something is like so. It's your body, it's your self, it's your entire psyche, your mind, your thought, your instincts, your everything. And there is that weird kind of power dynamic, and you're like 21, and and you watch in the King's Speech, like the Jeffrey Rush character and Colin Firth, yeah, and a lot of people are like, ew, that's not healthy or safe in terms of like power dynamics of relationships. But like, it's mess. I don't know. I don't know if I have an answer to that, but it is what it is. Like, it's a weird, like it's a challenging, weird experience. And you talk to someone who went to university and nothing wrong with like any other kind of vocation or career, like not knocking anything. But we all did weird things in our performance-based degrees.
Absolutely. I can attest to that. But yeah, like you look back at it and you say, okay, well, this is what happened, and I'm grateful because now I can move on or use it or whatever. Like you said, I think there's some valuable technique and training that comes into an art school, and definitely helps you when you're having a bad day, like for an audition or something, you know? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Can we go back? I do want to talk about Hamlet's. Because I think the work that you did there, you weren't just acting, and you were nominated for My Entertainment World Outstanding Lead Actor.
Cool.
Very cool.
Very cool.
But also you worked, like, you did the mask, you did the lighting design, like, what the heck, man? You're so like pulling from so many different places. It's so interesting.
I thank you. So I have always loved Hamlet, like since the first time I like read it when I was like I was like maybe 13 when I read Hamlet for the first time, because I'm a nerd. Because I was
Shakespeare.
No, I'm a nerd. I was like, I love this. I get it. I got Hamlet in a way, and then I studied again. I had a very challenging like my mental illness was alive and kicking at a young age. And it wasn't necessarily recognized or properly diagnosed or treated properly until I was 27. Despite desperately trying. But I always got, like, I got it. And we studied Hamlet when I was in grade 12. And I had the most fantastic English teacher for grade 11 and 12. And she was like, I had a couple teachers in high school who were phenomenal, and she was one of them. Miss Guerra is phenomenal and so smart, so cool, Miss Guerra. But we studied Hamlet, and I just got it. And a lot of people are like, ugh, stupid whiny brat, like, he doesn't make any sense. Why doesn't he just do stuff? Why doesn't he figure it out? I'm like, there's something here that I get, and I don't know what it is. And I just thought that I just thought it was like that. I'm like, great, I'm an angsty teenager, so maybe I just get, like
totally, yeah.
And people talk about his depression, and he's just like, and at the time, like, there was a lot of like romanticizing of like the melancholic youth, that kind of stuff. If 30 is a youth, but I'm gonna hold on to that being 30. I'm gonna be like, yes, I'm a youth. Yes. But I was talking to Sean one day about it. I'm like, I love Hamlet. I would love to do this. And he's like, well, I'm really interested in seeing Hamlet's soliloquies, which is one of the most famous things. There's Hamlet and his soliloquies.
Be or not to be, right?
Done as dialogues.
Oh.
And I said, holy shit, he's bipolar.
Oh, I see. So that's why there's two. That's why there's
it's
Hamlets with an S in brackets.
Yeah,
okay.
And we went through a lot of names before we settled on a very simple Hamlet, S in brackets, Hamlets, because I wasn't the only person playing Hamlet.
Okay.
I didn't even play the body of Hamlet. I was Hamlet's bipolar disorder, who had half of Hamlet's text.
Which is still a lot.
Which is still a lot, as well as I played the ghost of Hamlet's father as well. Because with bipolar disorder, it's something that like no one really has like a main cause. There's a lot of feelings that it's a genetic thing that is passed down, like you do inherit it somehow, that people have predispositions, that certain things can trigger it, that you can be like predisposed for it. But then, for example, a death in the family might be the thing that triggers you into an episode.
Totally.
So like, I don't know, the death of your father.
The inciting event. Yeah, for sure.
And so we're like, he's in a bad state. He's not sleeping. He's unwell. Our concept is that he's in he's having a mood episode, like a full, like he's in psychosis. And he does actually, his father is the ghost of his father. Although, with the fact that he was murdered by his brother, is a hallucination for him. It is his bipolar saying like, there's something fucking wrong here, and this is exactly what it is. It's that paranoia that happens, and Hamlet is paranoid from everyone, and it fits so well.
Yeah, to have you had like another person to embody that. Wow.
Tristan Claxton, and I'm going to praise Tristan Claxton because I felt really bad that I was nominated for like lead role, because I'm like, but Hamlet actually, like, Tristan actually played Hamlet, and Tristan is my favorite. And I say this to his face all the time, so I'm going to say it to the world. If the rest of my career was only ever acting with Tristan, I'd be fine with that. Aww. In fact, that's the dream. Like, I admire him. He, like, his eyes sparkle when he acts, and he's so good. And it's like, we both have this, like, but it's bad. I'm bad, and I hate myself. But like, we're not, like, and that's why, like, we get like, oh, he's so good. He's so giving. He's so generous as Tristan, bless him.
So the two of you, like a match made in heaven to play this role.
So right. When we were like, it's Tristan. And one thing that in every review that we got was like, oh, their chemistry was like, mwah. I was like, yes.
Cool. That's good that it came out then.
So, yeah. Like, great, good. I cannot praise him. I want him to have the best career ever and take me with him. Or vice versa.
Can I come along? Yeah.
I'm like, you're on my coattails if I'm on yours, man.
Well, hey, tell me more about Mask. I want to hear how you create Mask. Yeah.
So Gina Laurie Riley was a long-time movement professor at the University of Windsor. She's since retired, and I like so often I think, wow, Gina's the bomb. She was so good. So she taught us mask, commedia, as well as Greek mask.
So cool.
And we made our masks for those what's the word I'm looking for? Sections, let's say, of movement class. So the masks that we used in Hamlet specifically were for the play within a play, for the player king and player queen and the nephew, or the murderer, because we had doubling characters, so we wanted to make sure that we had a good way to separate them from the other role that they were playing, because our Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, as well as our Laertes, were playing the players. But also there's a really fascinating idea of like, what's your public persona? What are the moments when like your mental illness takes over? What is the thing that you're hiding? And so it was made with plaster cloth.
Okay. Which
I like to work with. I've worked with now a lot. I've made my ones in university. I made it of plaster cloth. So that's one. And then I've made 2 since. And then I made the 3 that were for the show. I love making them.
It works well. Like it molds well.
It molds well. Yeah.
Nice.
Once you understand like how to work with it. But it's just, you like get it wet and so I had Tammy and Felix, who played Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, but flipped. I had them come over, and then I put I put Vaseline and plasticine to build up certain aspects of their face, like eyebrows or nose. So then, because if it's just plaster, then it's going to be a heavy mask. So if you can get some negative space filled in, and then I put like plastic wrap over their face, but with breathing holes. And then you just do the first one there, let it set and take it off. And then you can build it up from there, and then it'll fit the face. And you can take makeup sponges and glue them to the inside. So then you have sponges against your face as opposed to the plaster.
Okay. More for like comfort, or
for like comfort, definitely
push it into the face.
Comfort and stability.
Okay.
So then you don't have like an edge just digging in. But I love making masks.
You're very great. Like there's a lot of really great photos on your website.
Oh, cool! Really? I'm not in charge of the website.
Well, from what I saw, at least, which everyone should go check out.
And Brianna, they're so good. Oh yeah, those are those masks. They're good.
And the dramatic lighting, especially in the Hamlet photos that I saw, like you're like choking someone at one point. It's just like,
Tristan.
Some very great photos on that website.
That's how much I love him. Bless him, he's so good. So with that one, with producing indie theater, you have to wear several hats. No one has the money or the time to be able to, again, this is the other thing. I'm like, I would love to have a professional designer come in, but I don't I don't have the money to pay them. So I'm also like, I want you to be worth what I think paying your artists is really, really important.
Yes.
And I'm like, I'm not going to ask until I'm ready to pay you, but I also love doing it.
No, I think, like you said, also like, storytelling is a collaborative art form. Like it really is about like working together with people. And so when you pull from different places, when you're lighting, when you're making masks, when you're acting, directing, like you really are understanding how to collaborate and use other disciplines or work with other disciplines. Yeah.
In university, I was one of the few people who were like a BFA, like performance acting major, but then would take, like I took stage management as a course. I assistant stage managed and stage managed a couple shows. I took lighting design as like my electives. I ended up getting the highest mark in lighting design, even though actors were the like butt of the joke. The professor is a good friend of mine, so he would always like pick on the actors, and I'm sitting there being like, I'll show you.
I'm gonna do everything.
I'm gonna do it. But I've always gravitated towards like the technical theater artists, like stage managers are some of my favorite people. Some of my favorite people are stage managers, I guess I should say, more so.
There you go. Yeah.
Like my best friend, Kate. Yeah, my best friend's also named Kate. We're duplicate. It's cool. But she's, I know, right? It's a relationship name. It still makes me laugh. But she's a stage manager, and she's in Newfoundland and St. John's, kicking butt and taking names.
Very cool.
She's so boss. So it's not that I don't necessarily like, I'm not a professional in any, well, I don't know, but I like doing it. I like doing things with my hands. I like building
like your
things.
painting.
Yeah, painting. I also pulled out, I call it a hut slayer Leia costume as opposed to slave Leia, because I'm like, no, she kills him. She's the hut slayer. But I have a costume made out of, like, I don't know what's it called. It's Wonderflex, I think is the name of it, which is similar actually to the plaster cloth, which is like a crisscross of threads with the plaster. It's a plastic that when you heat it up, it becomes malleable and then it cools down to harden. So I've been building this costume, and it has been sitting in a box for 4 years.
Get it out.
And I haven't. Yeah. So I've been working on it.
Okay, great.
Because I'm also like, girl, you're going to get out of this weird thing and you're going to wear a like bikini in public at some point in time that looks like Princess Leia. I think it'd be great. Also, I love the late Carrie Fisher a whole bunch. Yeah. I don't know.
You have to keep yourself distracted in some ways,
yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. But I do have a problem. I do have a problem with overworking myself.
Same.
Yes.
Same.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's, I believe, and I've had lots of conversations with many people who are also in like the adjacent industries, if not the same industry, that, especially in Toronto, it's, you equate your value to what you accomplish.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so when I talk to people, when I see them, I do not ask them, what have you been up to? I deliberately do not ask anyone who I know is like an artist at all. I do not ask them what they've been up to. I ask them like, and I don't even ask them, how are you? Because for the first few years out of university, I would ask people I'd see people be like, oh my gosh, how are you? And the only response I would get is, oh, working, auditioning. And I'm like, I don't care. How are you actually?
Yeah.
Because there's that, like, you need to be like, I'm doing 7 things so that I can show you that I'm actually a functioning artist.
Totally.
Yeah, like I'm a real artist. I'm which is so unhealthy.
This is what I do, not so much as like who I am.
Yeah. And it can be a huge part of who you are. Absolutely. But like, you need to, I have learned I need to have a happy functioning life outside of my artistic, like my career as an actor. A, because it makes me a better actor. B, it's such a ridiculous industry and so little of it has to do with like ability or work ethic. It's all when preparation meets opportunity.
The luck of it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it makes no sense really. So you cannot base your well-being and your value off of it, because especially when you have a mental illness, because it's going to drive you mad and it's going to make you resent it and bad at it. Like,
yes. Yeah.
Do I practice what I preach? Not always. I'm a big old hypocrite.
But you try to. You try to implement that. Yeah, yeah.
But what I ask people is, I ask them, what's been bringing you joy lately? Because
then that directly sends them into a place of like, this moment happened where I like someone paid for my coffee or something like that.
Or they might say,
oh,
nothing. And to which you can say, cool, what are you going to do about that to bring you joy?
There's the problem. You know? Wow. I'm going to change the way I talk to people too.
Because it also means that I don't get asked, what have you been up to? If I can be like, what's bringing you joy? Then we can talk about something else before I like have to do. Cause I'm so like back to like the introvert of it all. So much of the shit is networking.
So much of it. I know.
And the dread It's dread. I love
Mm.
so many people. I love so many actors and artists and like theater artists that I know. I love them, but like I have to like John Travolta talk myself up in the mirror before I go to an event.
Mm.
It's horrifying to me.
I always get a lot of social anxiety because I want to be a certain thing for someone, or like I want to come across a certain way. But
Yeah.
how do you do that while also sounding like a normal person and also sounding like you're not just there to get opportunities
Yeah.
and get a
Yeah.
job, you know? Like
Yeah.
it's still,
Yeah.
you're still
It's like,
talking to people, right?
I don't know. I have met some like really well established like actors before, and I can't human around them. I don't know how to. I can't. I don't know how to do it. I just go, and then like walk away. Like I'm like I can't. I would love to know you as a human, but I can't. I want to. Like I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, freaks me right out. I'm such a spaz.
Yeah.
Like out in context of working, it's fine because then I'm like, just do the work, and that's what you're here for. You're here to do the work, do the work, and like something will come up and you'll be able to talk to them as a human. But talking to them as a human, like,
Yeah, no, you're right. A lot of it is networking and like being able to hold strong relationships with people.
Yeah,
you know, because you need them.
Yeah,
right.
like
it's a collaborative art form, like you say. Yeah.
And I don't ever want someone who has any kind of like quote unquote sway to think that I'm just talking to them because of said sway.
Right.
If I like them as a human, like I really don't want them to. But I hate the like, if there's someone that I don't like, I don't want to have to be fake nice to someone I don't like.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that there are people, and I don't want people to, I guess that's comforting. So I'm like, I won't be a fake nice human to you if you like. So there you go. Anyone who listens, who knows me, if I'm nice to you,
it's because you mean
just
it.
like you.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
We have a joke. I'm not good with small talk. The first thing I'll ask you at a party is who hurt you as a child. Like
getting right to it.
I'm the one in the corner talking about like deep, intimate stuff.
Yeah.
I just don't. I can't. I'm 0 to 100. Like I can't
right away.
I'm not good at regulating the middle bits. That's fine. And over the past couple of years, I've learned to be okay with just being quiet. Like if you're in a group and they're having a conversation, you don't have to say anything. You can listen to their conversation and be like, cool.
In other words, you don't have to like input.
You don't have to. Yeah.
I struggle with that too.
You don't have to
don't
output.
Worry. Yeah.
You can if you want to. And anyone who think it's my brain telling me that they think I'm stupid because I'm not contributing to the conversation. If they think I'm stupid because I'm not contributing to the conversation, then they're probably not a person I should be around. Great.
Yeah. You know, and you can notice that, I guess, like you sort of figure out who people are, and you realize maybe I shouldn't work with you, or maybe I don't need to be around you. Or
just like you learn who I have friends who I love, but I know how I can support them and how they can support me, and it's not always one way or the other. And it's like, cool, I know what I can invest in you, I'm going to, because I know that that's how that works, and that's fine.
Yeah. You know? It just is.
I'm also like,
I've
worked really hard I'm a chatty human, in case we haven't noticed from the past hour. And from every Sunday morning of me just like chatting at you constantly.
I love it. Don't worry.
But good. I worry a lot that I'm.
I know. I was looking at the time. We're gonna finish up very quickly, but finish your thought, please.
Sorry.
Please do. No. You're so fine.
But I'm constantly working on that edge of like, I like to think I'm a good listener. I try very hard to listen to people. And especially when I'm like, oh, this is a time to listen, I can shut up. But I also am struggling that like, stop feeling like you can't take up space.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Is everyone hearing this? Yes.
This like,
Yes.
stop telling yourself that no one wants to hear you and you're a burden. Like you're allowed, like sometimes if someone needs to say something, they need to say, I'm sorry, I need you to listen to me right now. And then to be able to stop. But, so I preface a lot of things with like, please interrupt me, like conversations. I'm like, if I'm talking, interrupt me. I'm not going to be offended. If I don't say that, then like, listen to me. But, but yeah, like stop policing yourself for not being able to take up space.
Yes.
Time.
I think that's a great way to end it. That is so lovely to hear.
Great. I don't know if I got to all the things you wanted to talk about because
okay. I just wanted to catch up. It's been a while.
Oh, I miss you.
I know. This quarantine is making me so sad that I can't see you.
It's here. Okay, we're gonna go like this, and we're gonna hold for at least 20 seconds. So wrap your arms around you, and anyone who listens, wrap your arms around you.
Give yourself a big hug.
And do it for longer than you think you need to. Are there things that you're right? So when I asked you if you were alone, are there things that you're doing to try to simulate like any kind of basic compassionate touch? Because like.
I mean, besides like masturbation and like actual like touching myself.
I feel like what is it? Female ferrets that are like will fuck themselves to death because when they're in heat. It's bad. I'm an adult. I hope my parents never hear this.
Me too.
It's fine.
Honestly, no, but it's true, right? Like humans need touch and like being alone, especially also being like a dancer. Like I miss touching people. I do. And in a very consensual way. Like,
in a completely platonic, like compassionate, like, I have a weighted blanket and a heating pad. And I'm like, just like putting the heating pad and the weighted blanket. And I'm like, does this fit? And I don't have a cat or anything. I don't have any animals. I got nothing.
No, I'm still holding myself.
I know. It feels good. It's, I had a fun little panic attack a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, those are fun.
And like if I had been around a human, I'd have been like lie on top of me. I just or hug me firmly for as long as you can. So I spent the entire time, the first thing I just started doing was taking both of my hands and just started pressing on my sternum, just like press down, which is you take to the heels of your palms, and just bring it like on either side of your sternum, just underneath your clavicle. And just begin to inhale into your hands, and on your exhale, push down and in. Just hold it there, and then as you breathe, don't let up the pressure, but let your ribs press against your hands. And if you do that for as long as you need, that's a great way to help with the anxiety, because that's where your the shallow breath, and when it gets into like underneath your clavicle, into the top area there, your scalenes attach, which are those fun little neck muscles that attach to your like first two ribs. So if you have neck tension too, and then you feel like your shoulders are up super high and like you can't breathe deep. So if you just take, I'm going to say it again for anyone listening, take the heels of your palms on either side of your sternum, underneath your clavicle, inhale into your hands.
I hope everyone's doing this because I'm doing it.
Push down. And then breathe there and like keep it for at least 20 seconds. That's my favorite thing to do when I do Thai yoga massage. Is like, it's like a cat. It's like having a cat kneading on your chest.
I definitely, when we get back to being in the same room as each other, I want you to teach me all of that good stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
And I'll teach you tap.
Yes, teach me tap. I was thinking about that too. I found my character shoes. We were gonna do that.
I wish. I hope we can soon.
I hope so too.
Listen, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much for letting me talk for an hour. Yes. I'm so sorry if I didn't say anything. I said a lot of nothing, maybe. I don't know. I think you had a lot of great things to say, truly. Great. And I appreciate you making time to sit down with me. I know you're very busy. No, Hundo P. These are the important things. Yeah, they are. They are very much. I really miss you. I miss you too. I'm going to stop the recording so we can all talk. Okay, stop the recording. Yes. Okay. Thank you so much for listening to the Art Versations podcast. If you like what you heard, subscribe, rate, and leave a review to help the podcast grow. As well, follow the podcast on Instagram at ArtVersationsPod. That's ArtVersationsPod.
You'll find photos of each of my guests so you can match a voice to a face. Let's keep the conversation going. DM me with your own thoughts about art, as I would love to hear them. I'm always up for a good old-fashioned chat. Till next time.